are live.
I'll let you.
Right? Hey guys, we are just waiting to go live on Star PT, so chill out with us for just a second. Be sure to drop your questions below if you have them. We're going to be talking about thoracic outlet syndrome today. Yeah?
Hey guys, we just want to talk a little bit about thoracic outlet syndrome today. What it is, how to treat it, how to prevent it from happening is the bigger thing. So what is thoracic outlet syndrome? Thoracic outlet syndrome is where either nerves or blood vessels can get impinged in certain parts of your body, like between the neck and into the shoulder. So we're just going to talk about a little bit of the anatomy. I have a picture that we can share with you. So there's 3 common places where it can get impinged. So the first place, if you look, it says the scalene triangle. And those are muscles in the front of your neck. And what we're talking about, nerves that can come out, there's a big bundle of nerves that come out from your neck that all come together and then they feed down into your arm, called the brachial plexus. And so that's the first area where it can get impinged, is in the scalenes. And this is important. The scalenes act as accessory respiratory muscles and they help to elevate the ribs.
So when you breathe, they help do that.
The second common place it can get impinged, if you're looking at that picture, that costoclavicular junction, that's just a nice way to say where the ribs and the collarbone come together. And that nerve bundle feeds under there. So sometimes if there's not appropriate movement in the collarbone itself or the ribs, that can get impinged. The third common place is under the pec minor, and that is a small pec muscle that's underneath what we consider as the pecs. So now, if we can just come back this way, talk a little bit about what's the common causes of those areas to get tight. So I mentioned before the scalenes are accessory respiratory muscles. So if you're using them too much, if you're having to hold your head sideways for a prolonged period of time, they can get very tight. The costoclavicular junction, again, that's a mobility issue, and that can be addressed. Sometimes people have an extra rib or a cervical rib. Sometimes the first rib doesn't move well. Sometimes the collarbone itself doesn't move well. And again, all those things can be addressed by mobilizing those joints. That third area, the pec minor acts to help stabilize the scapula, so it helps to pull the scapula forward. So again, if you have poor posture, you're holding that for a sustained period of time, that muscle can get tight. A lot of way this presents, and I'm sure that you've heard this, is like a lot of you get tingling in your arm, or maybe it feels numb or cold. There's also other things in your body that can cause that, and so those need to be ruled out. There can be something from your neck causing that. There can be some vascular issues causing that, so all those need to be addressed as well. But I think you're going to share, Angel, just some common stretches, right, to help alleviate that and talk a little bit about posture.
And I know several of you actually have thoracic outlet syndrome, and I have been thinking that I had it for a while, and actually may or may not. I've heard it's double crush, I've heard it's cervical radiculopathy, I've heard it's all kinds of things. So when she's saying make sure you rule it out, the symptoms can be very similar to a lot of different things. So take note where you're getting numbness, tingling, pain, any kind of those things. Is it worse after you play your instrument? Is it worse hours later? Is it worse after you sleep a certain way? All of those kinds of things. Like I'm still dealing with numbness, tingling in these fingers, and when it first started, there was like shooting pain all the way down here and felt like my tricep was just seized and my chest was seized. Dry needling actually helped a lot with that, and these stretches I'm about to show you actually help a lot with that as well. I would do these before you play if you're going to go into a prolonged rehearsal, and probably after, especially if you've been practicing a lot, because think out how we work all day long. We're driving, we're typing, our posture's like this. How often you notice when you're typing you're doing this business, and then you go, oh, I should, well, the pec minor, and she talks about pec minor and major, they both bring your shoulders this way. Okay, well, if you add trumpet into that, or you add flute into that,
absolutely,
you know, or bassoon, and if you're really into what you're doing, usually your posture's really good. If you think about posture, I'm just thinking about a bassoonist I know right now. If you think about bassoon posture, you're here, right? But I've seen bassoonists do this, you know, and how much you're doing that compresses these areas, right? Same with guitar. I know guitar players who are like this, and you don't start out that way. That's the important thing. It's not like you're doing this on purpose, but when you're playing and you get into it, Have you ever seen a picture? Someone snaps a picture of you and you're like, oh, I didn't know I was doing that.
Well, it's the same thing, I think, with driving for a long time. We'll end up slumping forward. Or like you mentioned, like at the computer, slumping forward. So it's all things you need to check your posture regularly. So something that's habitual. You know, maybe it's at the top of every hour. Maybe it's a certain place in your music that you get to. You just take a split second to check your posture.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my favorites is a pec minor stretch, and this is actually even more of an active stretch than a passive stretch. But what I would usually use is like this frame here. Use like a doorway. You put your arm at about 90 degrees, and for pec minor, you're going to go a little higher than that. Now, if you get symptoms of numbness and tingling, back off. So that's too far, right? There should be no symptoms. But you'd go here, and what you would do is you would squeeze your shoulder blade backwards. So you're going to depress and retract a little bit. You're going to squeeze right here, and then twist away. So put your arm up like that, Mark. You're going to be my doorway. So where I'm going to squeeze, twist. Oh, that feels so good right there. And now for pec minor, I'm going to go up a little higher, do the same thing, squeeze down, twist out. And you should feel really nice stretch, maybe some blood flow in those fingers, a little bit of warmth maybe. Hold that for maybe 20, 30 seconds. Be easy, easy. If you get any symptoms,
it's too much. Stop what you're doing. Those are the biggest things, is just to check your posture, make sure you're staying very flexible. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to let us know.
Yeah, so how would you treat somebody who came in here? Do you have some examples, like what you would do kind of things?
I think the biggest thing is what we mentioned. I would have to rule out that there's anything else going on and find out which of those areas are causing the compression. We'd have to check flexibility. There's some manual techniques we can do to help improve joint mobility and to help improve soft tissue extensibility too. Dry needling is a tool that we can definitely use there as well.
Yep. And so while she's doing that, I would follow that up with some of those stretches and some strengthening moves for the back of the shoulder blades, for the serratus anterior down here. All those areas that stabilize the shoulder girdle to bring it back and down, so we can open up this area if this is where it's getting compressed. Maybe some neck stretches, maybe. It really depends on the person, if those scalenes are tight. And then we modify your exercises so that you're not compromising that position, but that way you're also a lot more aware when you go to play your instrument.
Yeah.
You're good to go. So that's how we would work together, and you don't have to stop your workouts just because you've got this business going on.
Just kind of keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
That's it, guys. Are there any questions for us?
Yeah.
Nope.
Cool.
If you think of anything after the fact, feel free to email me at sandy.murphy@starbt.com.
Yep, and you can leave a message below for me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, blah, 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 all the places. Or you can email me at angela@musicstrong.com, and we would love to see you here in Nashville.
Thanks, guys.